welcome back to the RUNEUSDT.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello everyone, welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's weekend show, our Broiler Chicken Show. I've been sitting here fighting with this stupid computer for the past 45 minutes trying to get these cameras to work. And I don't even know whether we have it working. Chris, do you actually have the camera on the video? Here is the Video Ninja link. After all of that, there's no fucking way we're not going to have a camera picture. Well, there it is. Might as well get that on the screen for these people. I don't know whether this is going to be any value here today. My apologies for starting so late. I do want to get out of here by say 12:30, so this should only be about an hour or so. In fact, I think oh God, this whole experience here this morning has just been a fucking nightmare. So I would set a timer or something. I don't even know if Chris is going to be around here. Let's see whether I can. All right, can you set a timer for 1 hour? And I'm just going to sign off here after an hour, regardless of whether I've actually said anything of value or not. Here we go, timer. All right, so I can do this. Rather disappointed in the way this stupid computer has been acting here. And the irony of it all is that I'm not even really on this computer at all. I'm just fucking around on a laptop yesterday. But it's almost impossible to. All right, so 1 hour from now, we will call this quits. So. All right, so yeah, I've only got a t-shirt on. I look like I'm got like the plague or something because the lighting here is just absolutely horrible working with this old webcam that we got like 10 years ago. I don't know why I can't get this stupid camera to work. Stupid piece of crap. So anyway, if I understand correctly, the server went down last night. So people surfing the website, Sjord was sending messages, sorry, server's down, server maintenance, something like that by the hosting company. So I don't even know whether we can even give you any updated information here on the platform. Literally from now until the end of the year, every single video should be done off of the platform. The only way this company is going to survive is if I can convince you there is value in you subscribing to this platform and using it. And if I can't do that, then I think this company will be over at the end of the year. Just FYI, you might as well know that. Let's call a spade here. I've invested a lot of time and money and effort into this. And the deadline for this thing to work is December 31st of this year. So the team is all aware of that. And you should all be aware of that too. So might be interesting to see what the future holds. And maybe this is, I've actually been talking for a very long time that what I really need to do is step away from all of this social media nonsense, the market, and just sit down and write this book of all these 36 modules that I have in my education program. There's some people at NTRI management that don't even put any value on any of my educational materials. So I think what has to happen here is we have to disconnect the educational program from this partnership TRI platform thing that we've done here. And if it can float without the educational program, then good. And if it can't, well, that's the end of this venture. I think the team is fully aware now it's time that this thing actually start performing. So, as I said, my emphasis is going to be on using the platform. Every single show that I work with you and trying to show you the value in the tools that we've built. So, getting a message from the development team that the server has crashed or down for maintenance and the site is not performing. These kind of things, they're not helping the cause. I don't know whether the team is even going to be watching. I get the impression some of the management team members, they don't even bother watching any of my public content or any of the shows that I do on the site anymore. So, I don't know whether they'll get the message or not, but I sure hope so. Anyway, you can hear I'm in a little bit of a bitchy mood here today. My apologies. But ironically enough, with regard to the market, and I think we're going to, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to get used to this for basically the next 3 or 4 years. The person that is in charge of the executive branch down in the United States of America is going to make the world a very, very stressful place. You're probably going to see that reflected in the market. And unfortunately, you're probably also, especially with something like crypto that is not regulated, this market is highly, highly suspect to manipulation. And I do believe that Mr. Orange Toupee and his entire cadre of fanatics, as we speak, Ayatollah Akmana is consolidating his power base. That one goes out to a buddy of mine in Sacramento. Anyway, you'd have to know that reference to understand that. Anyway, he's going to make our life extremely challenging. Yeah, well, I appreciate it, Joshua. The great part about it is I think that there is enough of the following here that if I leave TRI and I just go do my own thing, I think a lot of my OGs are just going to simply go with me. So, but I do think that I need to take a break and formulate. In fact, actually, the book that I had originally planned to write, I already have the name of it. And if you know this reference, then I'll know that you've actually, number one, you're a student of mine, and you actually read the material that I asked you to read way back when in level one. The title of the book should be Frayed Shirt Sleeves and Tuna Fish Sandwiches. So if you understand that reference, then I'll know that you're a student of mine. And that comes from a very specific book that I ask all of my new students to have read cover to cover. In fact, there's like 3 or 4 books in this series now, but that's a direct quote from the first book in this series. So I suppose all of you are going to Google frayed shirt sleeves and tuna fish sandwiches. What the hell does that mean? But that is going to be the title of my book. So it's ironically enough, the book's already written. It's just I got to sit down and write it, which is kind of funny. But anyway. So, get used to some insane volatility. I don't think anybody's going to be caught napping through all of this. And if you are caught napping, oh boy, you could get run over really quickly. I would also be very, very careful. If Orange Toupee people and his entire family, the cadre, if any of them say any kind of public advice whatsoever, do the exact opposite. And actually, I think I even warned somebody, anybody of you 30, 40 people watching this video, if you can remember this, I specifically said that this was going to happen even just a few weeks ago. That the person who's running the executive branch in the White House, and we all know who I'm talking about, name names, right? He is going to basically undermine the public as much as he possibly can for capital gains purposes. Ironically enough, he's going to be, whether it be through his children, who are directly culpable, Eric Trump recommending people, I think $3,000, good place to load up on Ethereum. For whatever it's worth, even this silly nonsense that they're barking out on social media today about strategic crypto funds and all that, we still don't really have any buy signals here. All they did was they had crypto basically on its knees and just absolutely collapsing, and they've just come in and stop the bleeding in the short term. And of course, you don't know whether, what Trump says on a damn tweet is actually going to become law. We were conjecturing on the site, or I don't know who it was I was talking with. You don't even know that whole charade that you just saw there with Zelensky. You don't even know if that was completely contrived. My hunch is that was actually totally staged. And right at the very end of the whole thing, Orange Toupee goes, "Oh, this is going to make great TV." And I bet you he probably got, ratings. I'm sure all the people that are in his wheelhouse talking about ratings, especially like Fox and all this. I bet you they're like, "Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Hey, I think we got 7 billion humans all watching our screens there." And of course, getting a big fat message to buy Tide laundry detergent while they're at it. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Be careful, right? If anything, this is half the reason why we trade setups. You have to look at the price action. You have to ask yourself, are we in good trade location? Do we have indicators suggesting that indeed the market's stronger than what the market's leading you to believe? And do we have price structure to actually frame your risk? And I might argue that, look at that. Google wants me to insert ads. Geez, I just started talking like 2 minutes ago. Yeah, exactly, Adam. I think this is all about ratings. So crypto mainly says, cheer up, Brian, have a rant. Get it out of your system. I don't know. I was just so fucking frustrated with these stupid cameras. And, we didn't even bother writing newsletters or anything this morning because I literally wasted like 45 minutes trying to get this stupid camera working. So I literally set myself up for failure. And of course, everybody's going to be like, "Oh, why would we listen to this idiot? All he does is bitch and complain." Anyway. I would love to show you our crypto breadth page and talk basically right off of the website. I just don't even know whether this is actually giving us updated information. This does say March 1st, so that's encouraging. Today is the 2nd, so I don't know whether this updated or not, but as I said, Sjord sent a message to us that it was not updating, so I don't know. If we go off of the image that we see here, if anything, I kind of like this as a description of crypto right now. Whenever these moving averages get really far apart, you should expect some sort of snapback. I mean, ideally, these measures, and one is the measure of the amount of issues in our universe that are giving fast buy signals versus slow signals, and what is a fast buy signal, what is a slow buy signal. If we pull up this BCH here, see, this is the problem. This stuff's not loading, so unfortunately I can't do that. Anyway, the bottom line here is that we're basically sitting right around the midpoint, so I wouldn't necessarily consider this bullish. But we had the market so dramatically disconnected that it seemed logical that we were going to have some sort of dead cat bounce just to bring the moving averages together. We probably should have like a dotted line that goes through the 50 line here as sort of your measure of, am I a bull or am I a bear? And just like any other trend line that we use, ideally, you want to see market structure signals above that 50 line to indicate that, yep, we are definitely in the bullish camp. So the way that this image looks right now for crypto is, we did lift off of those panic lows there in February. We dipped back down. We got into more panic lows there at the end of February. And now we've dead cat bounced off of those panic lows. But I don't know whether I have enough to justify me actually turning bullish. I'm a little concerned that the slow indicator is slowly grinding its way down. And of course, when we get these kind of signals where both the fast and the slow are in the oversold camp, then I know that the market's pretty much washed out. It's probably due for some sort of bounce. Right here, I would say, we had a, the sky is falling kind of message. Oh, no, that's not so good. And you can even see on the medium term, we still had quite a few names that were still spitting up buy signals. So, you can definitely see on the short term, oh boy, the whole world equity market and crypto, and to a certain degree, some of the other ancillary markets, especially if we look back over time. We had a day there, it was right in this date right here, February 24th, where they were just throwing everything out, baby out with the bathwater kind of idea. Um, and I might argue that to a certain degree, you can see that dramatically oversold condition in the short, both in the stock market and in the crypto markets. If anything, this is actually a really good analogy that you can see. Crypto, of course, is very volatile. It's venture capital. It's very, very sensitive. And the classic broader stock market, 500 stocks in the S&P 500, it's slower and it's sort of muddling its way through this carving out a bottom process. But to all intents and purposes, that's a W that's trying to form. And if we can recapture the 50 line and start breaking out through these highs, then okay, we've got something to work with. And I'd like to see that slow turn back up and start trending higher. And then I think we probably have a bit of a bull to work with. The only thing I don't like about this is I would prefer that we get nice and washed out signals. When it comes to the S&Ps, the medium, this is, it's nothing really to get excited about. I might even argue crypto, same thing. So a lot of short-term oscillation. That's definitely how I would look at this. When we were moving higher, you can see crypto was actually pretty uppy here. But throwing the baby out with the bathwater kind of idea, whenever you see the fast get like stupid, insanely oversold like this, it probably means we're at some sort of short-term inflection point and we've gotten that bounce. Now, the bounce, what is the bounce going to look like? I suppose this is where we ought to go to like price charts and just sort of say, okay, well, what the hell are these price charts looking like? So with that said, where's the best place to do this on this computer? I guess we can pop on over here. Good old Bitcoin. That's one hell of a tail, eh? Holy moly. What's really interesting about this, I don't know whether I have it on this computer or not, though. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. So, ironically enough, this was actually a pretty textbook technical setup. I actually learned this setup just like 30 years ago from old commodities brokers. Kenny Roberts. In fact, actually, the level 3 program, I just shared with them actually some of the marketing material that I got from Kenny Roberts back in the early 80s. Because the principle that they were taught back then is actually the same principle as today. Only fan or Patreon, I'm in, boss. Of course, that was staged. All right, I'm not quite sure what you're saying there. Glad to know BB gonna do its own thing if he leaves TRI. Yeah, I'm not gonna go back down that. I got a little bit pissed off there about this stupid camera, and I was barking about stuff I probably should keep to myself. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is we were working technical patterns. I did find it fascinating that really all we did was come down and tag 50% of this range. And now all of a sudden, are we back into a new bull market? Oh God, I hope that, if we start, and I did start seeing a little bit of this kind of chatter that, Trump has now tweeted, way to go, Trump, orange toupees, or whatever color it is that he's conning us to believe that his hair is now. Do you notice that like during the election it went gray and then all of a sudden mysteriously, oh, it's not so gray anymore? Wonder what the hell's going on there. Anyway, that's here and there. So we did, and if anything, the tweet that I put out about this is actually very technically normal, nothing really out of the ordinary here. Where are we here? It's fascinating how our society is having such a hard time with why this jerk changed this name to X. And man, I still hear tons of people going, I don't want to use tweet. I like using the term tweet. It's fascinating. This stupid world, right? You can't write better fiction than reality. Anyway. Um, so here, right here, back on 28th, when this actual dump happened, the comment that I put out was, where the heck is it? And you're done, right? This, ironically enough, is why you have to have open orders working. So if you had taken this trade, for God's sakes, you got to have that open order working. And obviously, looking back in hindsight now, it's, what are we? We're right back up here now or somewhere. So really, really good analogy as if you really want to be a trader, if you really want to approach the market from a professional perspective, you have to have these take profit orders working ahead of time. And really, I might even argue, really, if you're going to be trading this stuff, you should have what are called AOCO orders, or automatically order cancels orders. And then that way, you would have had your fill, ding, 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 ding. And, if you had just sold half and had stop at scratch, so be it, right? But the point here is you would have gotten your fill, and stop loss orders for the full amount should be changed automatically. Obviously, in crypto, that's kind of difficult because these exchanges are sort of fly by night OTC operations, and they don't really care about, professional traders. I might argue, ironically enough, if you are a crypto trader, you have to sort of get used to the platform versus the trader actually dictating to the platform what they really want as a trading facility. But anyway, that's here nor there. Point is, 50% tag. That was the target. No way of knowing what the fuck was going to happen following this. I do get the impression that these trend lines, I think, are acting as pretty good speed and resistance. So it doesn't really surprise me as well, too. 200 SMA, that could have also been a perfectly legitimate price objective. And also, as well, big fan of volume profile. And these notches in the profile, or you see that you could argue that this is a distribution range, and this is a distribution range on the profile. So while we were up top here, we were literally just trading in this range. So when we get to the bottom of this range, the question ultimately is, has the fundamental story changed? And if it hasn't, then the odds are we're probably going to find some sort of support in this area. And then we're going to go back up and explore this range, because this is basically the current trading range of the market. If some sort of fundamental change happened and it lost that level, then it would actually go back to trading in this range. And we would be like swimming around all this area. So whether it be WD GAN, time-tested rule, every single person watching this video should know the 50% rule by heart. And if you do fancy yourself a trader and you don't know the 50% rule, well, get educated. Quit being an amateur. So this is a technician that lived about 100 years ago. It was very, very famous. And it was his bread and butter, the 50% rule, WD GAN, 1 unit of price for 1 unit of time. I suppose you could also argue Wyckoff check, Mr. Richard Wyckoff lived basically the same time period as Mr. Gann. He would also suggest that the old highs that were registered should probably be tested. And the fact that actually they didn't trade back to this level leads me to believe that, yes, we had a nice V bottom. Yes, we, huge tail. But is that enough to actually call a bottom in a market? Or did we get to the point where the sentiment in the space was so absolutely insanely negative and like literally crypto is going to zero that we kind of just ran out of bear steam? Anybody who was going to sell has already sold. And I think that was somewhat of the message that I sent. Um, in that it just felt like, and I think actually Julian made a video about this on Thursday, and the headline on the YouTube video is something along the lines of "Sentiment is absolutely horrific," blah blah blah. Um, if we look at the entire crypto market, I think again we're coming into a lot of sort of key levels. I mean, you can see how close this is a clothesline, so you wouldn't see the actual extremes, but this is a bearish continuation pattern that I like to follow. And interestingly enough, it has you go short in this case because it's a bearish one at the 25 level, looking to take profits at 100. And you can see there are several successive lower highs printed here. And of course, our old adage, at least my adage, is if you ever see the market smiling at you, of course, it's getting ready to take your money. So obviously, you can see the big smiles up here. Down we go. New smiles and more further we go. Banged into some interesting technical levels. Things, here is the 50% retracement level, WD GAN, what happened with Bitcoin, whoop, right there, what happened with Bitcoin, right? And you can see clearly he slammed into his 50% level. I'd also make the argument that really, to all intents and purposes, this looks to me like a trading range. So you could make the argument that, what is halfway of that range? It looks to be somewhere in here. We could probably even, what might be fun is if we pull up that image. Where is that? Do I have that here? I think it's here, but it's probably, geez, Solana sure jumped there, right? And these are 4-hour charts, so let's not put the cart before the horse. Good to see, though. Actually, and this is an interesting conversation unto itself. But I wanted to finish that other thought first. So we'll come back to that later. And what time is it? I've only got about half an hour here, so we'll probably wind this up. I wanted to show you that total. I have everything written on here or not? Darn. Maybe I have it over here. No, I doubt it's here. Damn it. Yeah, Brian, of course, totally caught with his pants down. Man, today's a shitty day. Fuck. Okay, well, on the laptop, I had the total with the charts and everything all done up. So how am I going to do this? Well, I guess, damn it. Well, anyway, let's see whether we can just ad lib here. So there. Where's the drawing tool thing? I can't see it. No. Where is it? That's a perfect analogy of how this day is going for me. Why can I not find the stupid drawing tool thing? I can't see it. It's on here somewhere. Wow, isn't that bizarre? There it is. All right. So 50% level, WD GAN. Looks like it's pretty logical. What I was trying to point out with regard to the channel, though, is I think we can go there to there. and then even go back to there. Yeah, look at that. So the image that I had put out on social media and stuff was this is a trading range there to there and there to there. So with that said, I don't think anything really shocking has happened here. I think we were banging around in the upper end of the trading range, and we basically rejected a move through the 50% level. Yeah, it's not really surprising. The issue here, though, is that a bottom? I mean, does that look like a bottom? I definitely think that we have a pretty pronounced tail. And actually, this was an interesting conversation we were having with the level oneers yesterday. Can you have a hammer candle with a red body? I think you can. It was a bit of a trick question in our level one quiz yesterday, teaching people how to use candlesticks and hammers and shooting stars and dragonfly dojis, which would be another comment on the hammer, and gravestone dojis, comment on the shooting star. I think I would be comfortable with calling that a hammer, even though it is a red body. And ironically enough, the technical objective of this hammer candle is actually nothing more than exactly what's happened here. So, you might argue that by the end of today, this technical objectives is going to be over. I think you could easily, I mean, you probably should do it off of the body. My silly mustache is driving me crazy. But I think on balance, keep it really simple. All this is a trading range, that insane candle. So that means by definition, if we just put 200% of the range, then really that should be the technical objective. Now what have I done? Brian, let's go extensions. Maybe that'll work. I think I had it backwards. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So you can see that to all intents and purposes, we've actually hit the technical objective, which should be nothing more than just a replication of this range. Now, I could understand somebody saying, well, Brian, I could see that this is actually an inverted head and shoulders. So we go shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, shoulder. It's not much, and it's a little bit suspect, but I could understand that. So if that's the case, then we do basically a 200% range extension off of that range. And instead of the top of the hammer, we'll use the top of the following bar. It's obviously open to interpretation, but I wouldn't fault you if you said, Brian, I took a long off of this with my profit objective 200%. Well, I hate to say it, folks, but that target's now been hit. So coming in on the buy side here, I think is asking for trouble. I might also argue too, in a very similar fashion to the way that this 50% level is hit, why should we not think that it's going to do exactly the same going the other direction? So then that would just simply be 50% levels to the upside. And oh, hello, look where we are. So have we started a new bull market here? I don't think so. The space was absolutely insanely bearish. And the comments that I've been putting out recently is, and ironically enough, even for like the total crypto market, and this has things like dog money in it, right? So, I've been barking at you guys forever about how insanely, ridiculously risky dog money was up top here. And you could make the argument, to all intents and purposes, that all we did was we just cleaned up a technically overbought market. Nothing really shocking here. And of course, Brian, he loves his 78.6s. And hopefully you can see this. I mean, was this hammer candle the bottom. Well, it did set up a half decent rally. I'm not going to argue that. And if we do our extensions, you notice there's 200%. There was another push higher here. What do you think the odds are that that push higher there created a divergence in the momentum indicators? Yeah, look at that beautiful M and MACD. So right here, oh boy, that's a run for the hills signal. Interesting how Willie never did get overbought though. But anyway, the point I guess I'm trying to make here is I definitely like the idea when you get these hammers that, you know, it does definitely show some short-term reversal in the market. But we have an old adage at least I have an old adage. I have to stop saying we and just start talking first person. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. So as you can see, that tail was eventually eaten. If we look at this tail, interesting how we never did get the breakout, which actually confirms the hammer signal. You notice that that never came in here. So you can't even argue that that was a reversal. And really the size of that hammer head, I suppose, might have made that a bit suspect. But if this was a hammer candle, then we would have seen that high taken out, and it just never was. That high right there. But the point here is wicks and tails like to be eaten. So I definitely think, you know, I'm not going to argue this one bit. I definitely think we had some sort of short-term panic in the market there. And of course, Mr. Trump's attitude there to Mr. Zelensky in the White House. Talk about changing the conversation. I mean, nobody on social media is talking about anything else now. It's just all him. And of course, he absolutely loves that, probably feeding his ego. Although I wouldn't say it's very complimentary what I'm hearing on social media. But I think you could make the argument with regard to dog money and Allen that, you know, it looks like a little bit further to go. But most of this rally, I think, is actually priced into this move here. And unfortunately, my comment before, and I think it's the exact same comment, is something like this. I would fully expect that at some point down the road, they are going to revisit this tail. That tail's got big magnet signs written all over it. So, you know, a guy like me, if anything, what we want to see is the classic Adam and Eve bottom, which usually means you get a stab down V bottom, and that makes your Adam. You know, use anatomical references to try and help you understand that. And then an Eve, we come down and we just very gently and politely put in a nice double bottom against those lows. This is a very consistent way the market likes to bottom. And if you're relatively new to trading, this is a fantastic reference for you just to try and get into your brain. But the whole premise of this is that the Eve, the W here, does not break Adam's lows. And sometimes we actually have the exact opposite. I think you could make the argument this was an Eve top and an Adam top. So an Eve Adam. But for this purposes, and I'm sorry to confuse you, I just saw that out of the corner of my eye and I was like, ooh, got to mention that. But anyway, what I would just simply say is this is your ideal scenario for a bottom. And then what ends up happening over time is we say, look at that awesome saucer bottom. So the fact that we're making new lows here, we made a new low here. I mean, Jesus, Eric Trump, what a dickhead. I can't believe he, you know, still, even his recommendation here at $3,000, this looks like a good place to buy Ethereum. Even with today's rally, he's still looking like an idiot. But the point here is that Ethereum actually just went and broke this previous low. I don't know, maybe one exchange versus another will be different, but it is interesting to see how that low went through that low. And talk about wicks and tails needing to be eaten, eh? Holy moly. If I had said a month ago, oh yeah, well, we'll have to trade back down to those lows, you would have thought I was crazy. I suppose you could make an argument at absolute best case scenario right now. Wicks and tails like to be eaten, defining your trading range. They are now on Ethereum is the top end of your range, all the way up there. And ironically enough, and this actually is absolutely poetic justice. Because what's going to end up happening here now with this is, of course, this was the level that that stupid Eric Trump idiot, and why people aren't suing him into the ground for this, I have no idea, but came out and said, this is a good place to buy Ethereum. How are you feeling now? How are you feeling through here? But ironically enough, this is exactly the point at which the market's going to run is going to run out of steam. Why? Because of all the fools that bought Mr. Trump's tout there. As soon as price gets back into this level, they're going to be like, oh, God, get me the fuck out of here. Get me the fuck out of here. Just sell. I don't care. Never going to buy this shit again and never listen to that stupid Trump dickhead loser ever again. And ironically enough, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, I've seen this 100 times. Jim Cramer, same thing happens with him. What was that? What was her name? Kathy Wood, same thing there. I mean, absolutely remarkable how cliche this stuff is. So anyway, the point of the matter here, just in the near term, wick, tail, trading range. Hope you enjoy the ride. And as I've said repeatedly to you, and I hope you learn this lesson because, wow, is this ever such a fantastic lesson? Try not to get too bullish of anything. I mean, you can be like, hey, I'm a little old lady, nanny nibbling, buying against the bottom end ranges. Okay, fine. That's perfectly fine. You got to do what you got to do. And if that's your trading plan, fine by me. I mean, me personally, just, full disclosure, I've got stink bids to do that same strategy off of this 78.6 going all the way back to here. So just FYI, this is where my stink bids are working. But, let's assume that we never get down into stinky bid land and we actually are going to form a bottom here. Notice, here's probably a good example. 1, 2, 3 tags. All right. 4 tags. All right. 5 tags. Gee whiz. Okay. It looks like we're breaking. Now, where is the quote unquote buy signal? And ironically enough, with regard to this particular trend line, I don't think the buy signal is until right there, where you actually have a full W on the other side of the trend line, which is kind of interesting. And I was looking at this through the weekend because I think you could technically make the argument that the buy signal following this breakout was right there. When you go, well, Brian, I mean, gee whiz, there's the trend line break, but you're going to have me buying there? Yeah, because really what this is this is a bot setup, right? There to there. No more than 33 or no less than 33, but no more than 66. But of course, always drawn backwards. Reverse. All right, so there we go. And then the bot. All right, 3 higher lows to frame your risk, blah, blah, blah. And what a surprise, you can see, ding, 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 ding. They literally, this was like textbook bot. So trade, of course, always backwards. So there you go. AOC order at your bot objective. And of course, maybe that needs to be moved around a bit. And you got your fill right there. So where am I going with all this? I'm trying to try and convince you, and I don't know whether I can or not. And I guess it's not even really that important. But for me, I cannot turn uber bullish on this thing until I see a W on the other side of this trend line. And literally, I had this conversation with all of you, and I got about 15 minutes left right in here. And where a lot of people at TRI, they're like, okay, this is it. This is the bull. And I'm like, oh, cool your jets. Don't get too enthusiastic. And sure enough, kaboosh. There was an interesting stock that we've been following that's doing exactly the same thing. And it's such a great lesson for everybody. Try not to get too bullish of this stuff until you actually see W's on other sides of trend lines. So there's your primary trend line, and look at what this thing did. I mean, many times break. Oh, I'm a bull here. Oh no, I'm not. Oh, I'm a bull. No, I'm not. Oh, now I'm wrong. Really. As I told somebody on social media over the weekend, I was like, I'm here to try and help you people. That's a lesson that I think is very, very valuable. And take a screenshot of that right there. 3, 2, 1, click, take your screenshot and write on your screen. Do not, consider this a bull market until we've actually put in bullish structure on the other side of this trend line. And I hate to say it, but I think that's exactly the same conversation here. This is not a bull until we actually put in bullish structure on the other side of that line. Which means technically this could rally up a bit more. You often hear, and as I said, wicks and tails like to be eaten. Ironically enough, this is the top end of the range. And you often hear me say, candle body highs and lows for trade location. What do you think the odds are that that's like 78.6 or 88.6 of that range? I'd probably say pretty good. So let's go boom and let's go boom. And sure enough, 78.6 candle body highs for trade location. If I was futures trading, I would be hunting a short setup in that window like a hawk, which ironically enough right here means there's actually nothing going on here at all. So anyway, there's some rhetoric for you. With regard to the Bitcoin, as I said, a pretty normal technical pattern played itself out absolutely to Q. Nothing shocking here whatsoever. And I suppose you could make the argument a little bit easier, I think, to see this on something like Bitcoin. We can't really get uber bullish until we see W's on the other side of this trend line. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. So we can make that nice and thick. Boom. Interesting how all we've done here is rallied right back to the trend line. And I hate to say it, but this definitely looks too far, too fast. And then, as I said before, wicks and tails like to be eaten. You can see tail eaten, tail eaten, tail eaten, wick eaten. Is there any reason why we should not expect at some point down the road that we actually have to come back and revisit this level? And I don't think so whatsoever. I'd also say too, and this is kind of a fun little extrapolation here for you. Since you've heard Beamish barking about wicks and tails, candle body highs and lows for trade location, you've probably heard me say that once or twice. Then by definition, and also too, you know how much I love my favorite fib, 78.6. Could we not then maybe start to think about, well, we should be able to figure out where this counter trend rally is going to exhaust itself? How do we do that? Well, we're going to take our fib tool, but we're drawing buys off of this level, candle body highs and lows for trade location. So why don't we flip this around? And now, since you know that Beamish guy loves his 78.6 so much, why don't we drag this up to the point where 78.6 happens to line up with those candle bodies? And hello, this is actually telling me I should expect a rally all the way up, back up top there. That's kind of cool, eh? The irony of it all, though, is that you could get that rally all the way back up top there and, clean out all these stops. There's going to a really popular thing on TRI right now, it seems, is everybody's in love with these liquidity pools and hunting liquidity pools for trade location. Well, I think you could make the argument that all of these are liquidity pools that all should probably get washed out. And us as technicians, our job is to simply wait and be patient, let these liquidity pools be taken out one by one by one. And then when we actually start seeing market structure actually starting to form to the downside, that's when we get uber excited about shorting. So right now, Trump and his silly tweets. Obviously, he's got the entire cryptoverse. Remember, just even through all this, man, there were people that were literally committing suicide on this X platform, which, frankly speaking, is extremely irresponsible of the owner of this platform to actually not step in and directly comment about the horrific uh, sort of precedents that they're letting be set here by people actually committing suicide live on this platform. God, that is horrible humanity. Anyway, point there is, I think that, and keep in mind, Mr. Trump and his cadre and all of the people that are associated with Mr. Trump, they are not your friends in the marketplace at all. Don't kid yourself. So, ironically enough, as we start working our way up here, the irony of it all is there's Julian's favorite fib. If Julian was thinking about shorting Bitcoin, and I don't know why I'm making reference to him, there's Brian's favorite fib. Well, this is the area where we want to think about shorting. And my hunch here is this is probably going to work its way up and do something like that and break right back down, right? In a very technically appropriate level. That's what markets do. So the point here is I would not get wrapped up in this. Now, I understand the news is, oh, we're going to create a Bitcoin strategic fund and all that kind of stuff. Keep in mind, this is tweets. This is not law. And for some reason, Mr. Trump just believes that if he says something, then that is going to be law. And frankly speaking, if you've actually bought into that bullshit, oh, fuck, slow down. And keep in mind, too, and I can already start to see this, that this coming congressional election, it is going to go so violently left that Mr. Trump's going to spend the last 2 years of this presidency just dodging one impeachment charge after another. Because you can clearly see he's alienating the whole world, and he's only like 2 or 3 months into his into his term. So, people are going to be chomping at the bit in like 6, 8, 12 months about how the hell do we balance the power back out in the U.S. Congress. And if I understand correctly, the House of Representatives only has like 1 or 2 seat majority for the GOP. So they could lose control of the House really easily. And then we're right back into impeachment. And basically Mr. Trump becomes a lame duck. So, everything that he's doing right now, he's actually undermining his own agenda with all this nonsense. But, you can't, interesting enough, same kind of comment that I put out on social media. Some person was like, I can't understand why that you don't have a hell of a lot more followers. And I think the answer is that I have a very crusty attitude. Nah, see, I would disagree with you, Andre. And this is the trap that society always falls into. I would actually vehemently argue that completely. And keep in mind, the congressional election that will basically shift power back. This is exactly the same thing that happened in 2000. This is exactly the same thing that happened in 2008. This is exactly the same thing that happened ironically enough, with Biden, and the whole damn fucking Congress goes uber left. So no, I would completely disagree. I would argue that this is just nothing more than just pendulum shifting back and forth and back and forth. And just as easily as Mr. Trump has fired all these people, I would not be surprised. Keep in mind, presidency executive, that's 4 years. So if I understand correctly, a lot of people that he's actually firing right now, there are judges that are saying, oh, no, that's actually constitutional. You're not allowed to do that. So anyway, we'll see how that plays out. But the point I would just simply make is that you can actually see the writing on the walls going forward here. So I guess the point that I would just make is, if anything, this rally does make sense, because I was actually quite surprised at how bearish the entire community and sentiment has gotten. Keep in mind that I mean names like dog money I can't buy until we get down into here anyway. So I won't be doing anything with dog money in the near term. But interestingly enough, SHIB actually started to come back down into buyable levels. So as you can see, SHIB's right down at the bottom end of the range, and look at what letter of the alphabet's trying to come in there. One that I really like and I have been buying the whole way down. I actually threw another bid to buy a bit more here today. This rune here looks to me like it's got money written all over it. So I don't know, call me crazy, but I'm more than happy to step in and buy all this. So I would make the argument. In fact, there was one coin that I bought just recently that I absolutely love. And this is actually Chris's favorite coin, if I'm not mistaken. But I bought some of this and I was kind of bummed. Bought some of this in the 50s here last fall, and it just missed getting up into double levels, right? Doubles was up here. How frustrating, eh? But that's the way the market goes. So last week when we were doing a show, I guess on Friday, I was like to Chris, I was like, hey, we got a little bit of cash sitting in that account. Why don't we go pick up some of that? So I'm glad we were able to pull the trigger on that. But there was one coin that I bought here recently that's just it's almost poetic how beautiful the chart is. The only problem is where the hell did I put the damn symbol? Is it this one? Yeah, look at that. Every once in a while, the technician pulls one out of his ass. So I noticed this A, B, C, D, and of course, down below Brian's favorite fibs. And I threw my bid in basically right down at that level and was just patient. And I had to be patient like Joe, patient like Joe, patient like Joe. Got my fill there late last week. And now you can see a cute little W's coming in on that. So this is like the ideal scenario for working these stink bids. And now if and when W's do start coming in, and if we're lucky, maybe we get W's within W's, I can always add to the trade. But this is, if anything, why I do stink bids down at bottom ends of ranges, because this is stunningly cliche. So anyway, that's the kind of market state that I think we're in. I think they basically threw the baby out with the bathwater for most of these names. And terribly irrehensible what I saw happening in social media with regard to crypto there the past week or two. Interesting here, bids at 38.2. I should actually be able to get doubles off just on nothing more than 50% bounces. So a lot of these names, this is probably what you're going to see happen. I don't know whether this has to play out, through, because we're coming into actually a really important celestial window. We have eclipses that are happening here. The lunar eclipse, then the solar eclipse. And I actually think that the whole market's going to go sideways here through this window. And if we go back to Bitcoin, same sort of thing. I get the impression that they're going to rally this thing back into that eclipse window. And then I wouldn't be surprised. We do something like that, then like that, then maybe like that, then like that, then like that, and then like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. There was actually somebody on the site who took screenshots of my previous prognostications, and it was quite remarkable how close my crystal ball was to what actually happened. But anyway, that's what I'm kind of thinking our course of action is going to look like. And I think that actually the eclipse window is going to be sort of like a calm amidst this storm. That's what I'm thinking here. So anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And I guess the last sort of note to leave off this, because I think we're coming up on 1 hour. And as soon as that timer goes, I'm going to hop here, folks. If we're watching things like the January barometer, I think it also coincides with a lot of this thinking here that I have right now. I think that we're sort of in this area right here. And this is that eclipse window. Basically, well, anyway, this is the fulcrum of that move. And if you overlay this on an annual basis, I've just broken out, the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, the entire year, halfway through the year, blah, blah, blah. So this was the beginning of January. There was our rally peak. We saw the stock market coming off a bit here recently. I do think that we go sideways here through this eclipse window. And then I think there's one more puke out event on the other side of the eclipse window. Then we set a base, and this base is going to rock everybody's world. And I think it's this base that actually is going to do things like take crypto up to new all-time highs and all that kind of fun talk. And if we're lucky, maybe we get big honking moves to points where Brian can buy houses for his son and retire quietly into the countryside. But my hunch here is the period from about, let's call it early mid-May, all the way out through the summer. This is just going to be one hell of a bull market. So I like what I'm seeing. I think we're probably a little bit early for us to get like uber insanely bullish. I'm a little disappointed, frankly, that the rally was so violent, so fast. I think I made reference to this before, where I kind of thought that the ultimate bottom would be one of these 2-week events where it just absolute insane face rip down. And then we go through the process of forming a bottom. But I actually think that, believe it or not, since we're so close to the original top and we still have to get through that eclipse window, we still have to get through Brian's birthday. You all know how that goes. I think that we're like right here. So I think that this hammer candle here is very similar to this hammer candle here. And that means that, yeah, we're going to work our way back up top. And remember, we talked about that a minute ago. I think rallies back up into reload zones are not out of the question. Julian's favorite fib, and then our fun little analysis that if ultimately this is some sort of trade location down the road, who knows how the hell this thing has to play out into April, May. I like the idea that we'll hunt these candle body lows for some sort of inflection point. And there is 78.6, but that implies that we actually have to come right back up to 100,000. And I could very easily see something like that happen. Then thinking and finish off this conversation with all of you today, thinking about the bigger picture, nothing's really changed here. Violent dips, but you can see in the previous cycle, I think this is very similar to the 16-17 cycle. You can see that there were weeks, and there's several weeks in a row where we had to correct and then come back up. And well, I mean, that's basically what we're doing. The irony of it all from this is in essence a clothesline chart. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know whether that big hammer candle is actually even going to print. This might just end up printing just a non-event there. I could actually see that. So I don't really think that anything like catastrophic with regard to cycles and stuff has actually changed here at all. Do I expect to see 300,000-400,000? I don't know. I mean, it's a pie in the sky kind of thought. And if this does happen, I've told everybody that I'll sell my Bitcoins at 250,000 plus, and I'll just go buy a house for Lily and I'll forget about crypto. So, we'll ride with the wave, see how it goes. I do like the idea that we are heading into some sort of insane peak. And just keep in mind that this event, I remember specifically when we went through this, everybody and their brother was saying that crypto should top out at about $10,000. And what did crypto do? It actually went up to $20,000. So in the last, excuse me, in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of the bull market, just think about this. The last 5 weeks of the bull market, the market went from like 5,700 up to 20,000. Literally almost a 4x in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So my hunch here is that the October rally event, this thing is going to be going literally straight up. And I actually like the idea that we'll probably top out at like 110, 120, 130. I've got a whole bunch of these kind of studies that are all suggesting, if we do A, B, C, Ds, I guess this one here, 106 or 1.618 off of this particular bullish bot takes us up to 145. I could very easily see us work our way up there. And then the last month or two of the damn bull, the stupid market literally goes and doubles just in that last month. That's just the way that this silly market goes. So that's about all I'm going to say with regard to crystal ball reading. There is that ultimate, if we change this to a log scale, this is that ultimate bullish A, B, C, D, boom, 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 all the way up top here. I don't know whether it's realistic or not. Oh, where'd it go? Well, there we are there, 240,000. I don't know whether that's realistic or not, but what I'm just going to simply say is I'm not going to put a top in the market here, call a top. The market will top where the market tops. That's just the way markets work. I think we could make, you can see if we do 1.618 off of these kind of log scales, that takes us up to 350. So, don't be shocked if, we're puttering along here. It's 150,000. It's the middle to the end of the summer. And you're like, where's your 200,000? Where's your 250,000? And in just the last month of this stupid rally, the darn market goes and doubles. And that's usually, my rule is anytime you see an asset double in less than 6 months' time, then that's telling you a market top is in. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. All right. So going through corrections. If I was going to look back at historical comparables, I think we're doing this right now. You can see how the 13 EMA, big tail, big snapback. Yes, it did translate into a further move back up against the highs. And then we went through all this nonsense here as we got closer and closer to my birthday. So I get the feeling that that's what's happening here right now. And as I said, and I just, I think this is a pretty good illustration. This is a kind of market where, even if you decided to trade this and just simply said, you know what, that's actually a W that came in there. So I'm just going to buy the W. I'll risk to this thing breaking to new lows. And all I'm going to do is just shoot for a 50% retracement. Not going to look for new highs, just a 50% retracement. You can see something as simple as that produces a more than 4-to-1 risk reward. Throw $100 in there at the 50% level, sell half of it. So your $100 just turned into $400. You get $200 back. You doubled your money. And you have half of the position on free of charge for the rest of your life. That's kind of the way that I'm looking at the market right now. And I really do like what I'm seeing. And I threw in another bid to buy some more there off that 38.2. So, that's not correct. Off of, I think the price is 38.2, but I don't want you guys going, well, that's not a 38.2 retracement. $1.32. That's what it was. $1.32. That's a nice little inside bar reversal. And if we get any kind of calm down over the next couple of days here, I'm more than happy to go and add to that position. I think there's money to be made there. And I put my money where my mouth is. Having said that, do I want you to buy this? No, I want me to buy this and me to make money. And if you happen to want to participate too, great, but absolutely no guarantees from the Beamish, caveat emptor, right? So anyway, okay, I think we'll leave it at that. It is 12:39. Let's see how I did on my stopwatch. Survey says, it says that looks like I went over. Chris, did your timer go off? Oh, I don't even think he's even here. Okay, well, why don't we leave it at that? I hope I gave you some value today. My apologies when I sort of started off on a bitter note there. I don't know. I'm getting the feeling like my days in social media are coming to an end. Um, and maybe one of these days I'll get a camera that actually works. I can't believe how much money we invested in this camera. It doesn't even work. Anyway, slow and steady wins the race. PMA for the win. Brian, maybe eat your own cooking. I'd be very careful about chasing here. I think you're kind of asking for trouble just blindly buying stuff here. But if you can find issues that are actually Wing out, I don't mind that. And then, of course, if you are working stink bids, if names are basically up against 78.6s, I'm more than happy for you to go and nibble away on stuff like that. So, if anything, there's, I think, two really good names for you to chew on. I have no idea who these guys are, ENA, but I love that trade location. And of course, Sjord on our site, he's a big fan of Rune. And I'm getting the impression that they're sort of cleaning up their act and they got rid of the nefarious stuff that undermined them. So there's also an idea for you. So I actually gave you two ideas here that you can chew on. All right. Have yourselves a great day. Wish me luck on the road with Lily. All the best. And the only thing left to say to you is bye for now.